Great day. Great day. And it is that day of the week that I love so much because the newest episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy is on. What we're going to talk about today is Season 1, Episode 6, Come, Let's Away. So, a normal, mundane away mission and training for the cadets turns very deadly and very serious real fast. Real fast. And for all of those folks who kept saying that Starfleet Academy is too silly, it's too much fun, not serious enough. Okay, this episode should satisfy you bloodthirsty people. Okay. Because things get real serious, real fast in this episode. So, shall we begin? Yep, shoulda known things wasn't going to be sweet ending for these two. Because, of course, this episode starts off with Caleb throwing away that whole 6-month period that Genesis has suggested, for hooking up. And it looks like Caleb is Tarima's Mzadi. Yeah, so in the midst of them rolling around, and a little quibble, not a quibble, a little aside, it seems like she does not have a roommate. Because that's clearly she was bumping uglies in her room. Not Caleb's. So, But anyway, once they got together, their minds connected, their souls connected on the deepest level possible. And of course, she's telling him about the other people that she's connected to, and it's really fun. And it's really cute that while Caleb doesn't really want to hear about her other conquests, he is interested in the salacious details of some of them. And anyway, while inside each other's head, in Tarima's safe space, she sees that bear. I wonder what happened to that bear that Caleb left behind 15 years ago. I wonder if Nala has it. Anyway, she gets curious and she touches the bear, which is a bad thing, because that's all of Caleb's childhood experiences and the trauma that he got when he was separated from his mama. So yeah, that was a bad thing to do. And of course, they went to the, how dare you touch that part of me? And she's like, I didn't mean to. I didn't know. The misunderstanding part of a relationship that they've had 3 times now since they've been together. Yeah. So, enough of that. They're moving on to the mission of the week. The War College and the Starfleet cadets, they have a training mission. And they're going to the USS Miyazaki. This is a ship that was destroyed a century ago. And it's inside of this part of space where it is basically essentially a ship's graveyard. And the War College has been doing training exercises on this ship. And now, this is a joint exercise between the War College and the cadets to go to this ship and to see if they can revive it. Now, mind you, this ship's been drifting a century. So, I was wondering, I hope they got the crew's bodies off of that before they decided to start using it as a training facility. But I think they did. So, this, of course, is the usual type of training exercise that the War College has done before, and this is a Starfleet cadet's first time doing it with them. And of course, Laura, Commander Tomov, and Captain, okay, Chancellor Ake, they make a friendly bet on which team, comprised of both cadets, could try to revive the Miyazaki. And whoever wins the bet gets shore leave. Ooh, I thought this bet was really fun at first. Until, everyone loses later. So, Caleb is part of the first group of cadets to go. So, of course, everybody's on there. And this particular group, okay, so for the Starfleet side, it was Caleb, Jaden, and Sam. For the War College, it was Tomov, Commander Tomov, Bobby, Kyle, and who else? Was there somebody else? I think it was even. It was 3-3. So I'm trying to figure out who the third person was. Let me go and find out. I guess Tomov was the third one to round it out. So I guess I'll probably have to relook at it again and correct myself later if that's the case. But anyway, everything is cool in the gang, and Tomov clearly looks to have won the bet. However, things get really bad really fast with the appearance of the Furies, an human alien hybrid species that likes to eat flesh. Yeah. Adding a nice dose of horror to my Star Trek. So anyway, the Furies have taken over the Miyazaki and is blocking the Athena from snatching their people back off of it. Because, hey, they probably would have let them have the Miyazaki. But the Furies just really wanted some flesh to chew on, while they're playing with their new toys. And of course, it's really funny how they always snatch up the one to show to the person who that's most important to in regards to ransoming. Because, of course, the main Fury, I forgot what his name was already, because I didn't write it down. Bad, very bad. Of course, snatches up Caleb to show Ake that, listen, give us this ship, or we'll eat your people. Now, what they didn't know at the time was that they was going to eat them anyway. So, it was just a formality. It was just, a way to be more menacing. So, Admiral Vance has his hologram pop in to kind of think of a plan to get the cadets off that ship. Okay? And you want to know what his grand plan was? Nustifer Braca. I'm sorry. That cracked me up when he revealed his full first name. But Admiral Vance's grand idea, call in Noose Braca. Because Noose Braca managed to repel the Furies before. So, okay. So, I'm sure with a little bit of incentive, Noose here will help us get rid of these Furies and get our cadets back. Okay, Nala was not having it. And to be honest, they should have listened to her. Because she knew that this was not going to end well. She knew this wasn't going to end well. All right, and I'm going to stop it here, and I'm going to go to part 2, because I have so much more thoughts. Part 2. Now, this tete-a-tete between these two revealed a whole lot. Okay, it seems that Nustifer here has a severe hate-on for Nala for what she did those 15 years ago. And of course, he did some studying. And I'm confused, okay? Wouldn't anybody then be able to study up on Nala and her exploits ever since she's been in Starfleet? Because if the villains can get together... Ooh, had to let that ambulance through. So, as I was saying, if the villains can study up on Starfleet personnel, why can't the Starfleet personnel do that? Or maybe the information isn't locked as tight as it should be. Okay. Because again, he's had years in prison to stew about it and probably figured out mostly all he needed to do once he broke out. But anyway, what this little exchange revealed, okay, is a possibility that Nala may have sacrificed her child when the burn happened and could have possibly saved them. I don't know. I think News was just messing with her, because he's going, well, you're on Lanthanite and y'all live practically forever. So, I'm guessing that you're still stewing on it when your baby died all those years ago in the burn. And then, of course, Nala clarifies that she's half Lanthanite. So, yeah, she will live long, but probably not as long as a full-blooded Lanthanite. And now I want to know all about her backstory. I want to know. Okay. And it would be a real bonus if they get Pelia. Provided nothing happens to Pelia in Strange New Worlds. Because she's the only other Lanthanite we know. And she's a full-blooded Lanthanite, so... I'm pretty sure she could possibly still be around. Or we can meet other Lanthanites. And, okay, since long life is a trademark of the species, why didn't Nala try to save her son? And who was her son's father? Did she create a new hybrid? But again, I will be eagerly awaiting Nala's backstory when Starfleet Academy chooses to give it to us. I'm not going to complain. So anyway, they have this little back and forth. And of course, Admiral Vance decides to give him whatever he's offering just so that we can get rid of these doggone Furies. And we don't have much time to do it. We only have 5 hours. So, Nala goes back to the bridge where everybody, including Genesis and Darum, try to figure out, and that cadet, that special cadet is on there as well. So they can try to figure out how to detect the cloak of the Fury ship. Because they figured 5 hours is the time. Please excuse eldest child, who delights in interrupting my TikToks while coming home from work. Anywho, they only got 5 hours, okay, to get their cadets out of the clutches of the Furies. So they decide to play ball with Noose Baraka. And soon discover that maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe they shouldn't have. First of all, R.I.P. to Commander Tomov. He was a real one. When the Furies came and gathered them all up, and then decided to play, let's throw somebody out the airlock, they chose Bobby. However, Tomov had a little signal that he shared with Bobby. So as soon as they pulled Bobby out from the rest of the cadets, he went into action. And the brilliant fight scene, and they managed to nick a couple of the Furies, but of course, there was too many of them. So, good old Commander Tomov, who was only looking to go to shore leave. He sacrificed himself to save the cadets as the cadets ran to the bridge to seal themselves in. So, yeah, he's a real one. Didn't know him long, but he was a real one. Poor thing. Didn't get a chance to get his shore leave. But now, with his higher power. So, the cadets managed to get onto the bridge of the Miyazaki with the rest of the Fury after they finished feasting on parts of Commander Tomov and tossing him out the airlock for everybody else to see. They bought some time, so they're trying to figure out now, okay, how are we going to get out of this mess? They can't get to the escape pods that are left on the Miyazaki, and they can't get to engineering to try to get things going, because the main idea would be to release the jamming that the Furies is doing between the Athena and the Miyazaki by activating the slip drive. But again, they can't get to engineering to do it there. But then Sam remembers, hey, wait, didn't the commander of this ship had a way to activate the slip drive from the bridge? And of course, Bobby looks at Caleb and knows that, hey, you're the brilliant one. Figure it out, son. Figure it out. And he does. Okay, with a little help from Terima, who is, of course, on the Athena freaking out because Caleb and her friends are on the Miyazaki and there's no way to contact them. There's nothing they can do. Then she remembers, wait, I have a connection with Caleb. Let me see if I can touch him. And she does. And of course, everybody's like, that's kind of dangerous. I don't know if you really want to do that right there. But she's like, no, I don't want my people to die. So I can use my connection with Caleb to get him a message so y'all can figure out what y'all need to do. Of course, Nala figures out too late that Noose Brocka is actually in league with the Furies. Ambushes them. Classic ambush. So, of course, her worst fears have been realized when they get help from the Sargasso. They have found out that the Furies are actually insect-human hybrids. So, of course, high vibrations, sounds would repel them, like the bugs they are. So, of course, when the Sargasso comes from this port that is doing highly classified stuff, according to Kelrec, okay, Noose Brocka sets the trap in motion, where he sends a message to the Furies going, they took the bait, the Sargasso is coming, so we can go hit that port and take what we want to take and kill some people along the way. And of course, Nala is floored and she's like, good and God gravy. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Okay. Part 3. Because I'm not even done yet with all of the thoughts. Part 3. Okay. Sam is the MVP in this part of the episode. Because, of course, they are trying to revive the slip drive of the Miyazaki. But they're like, okay, how on earth can we do this? But then they forget. They got a photonic right there who could stick her hands into things and get it going. So she manages to wake the ship up to get the ship to at least recognize them as the new crew of the Miyazaki, because unfortunately, this poor ship has been out of commission for so long and didn't realize that its original crew had been dead for quite some time. And, of course, using the information of a comic book that was made about the Miyazaki and its crew, was able to get the Miyazaki to recognize them and then put up a force field to try to stop the Furies coming in the door. Sidebar, though. I'm so geeked as a comic book head that comics are still around in the 32nd century. So, listen, our old hobbies won't die. They'll still be around. They'll still be around. So I really like that little piece. Because Bobby had the comic books. Caleb read the comic books because he was bored. So that's how Caleb just absorbs everything at the speed of light, apparently. So yeah, I'm really geeked about that inclusion of comic books in my Star Trek. Anyway, poor Kyle got chomped by one of the Furies, so of course he's hobbling. So now they got to get the slip drive going. So Terima on the Athena gets the instructions from Kelrec because he taught his war college cadets certain things that would be useful in regards to the Miyazaki. So she gets that message to Caleb, and Caleb is then able to get Bobby to activate the tiny fireflies, which brings up the slip drive. However, the Furies, having disabled the Sargasso, and of course they're wreaking havoc at that port, and they're firing on the Athena. They've managed to get through. They managed to get past that force field. So when things seem to be at the greatest end, okay, Bobby. R.I.P. to Bobby. He takes a Fury's shot. A Fury had Caleb dead to rights. And we, of course, know that, our main characters have a certain amount of Teflon on them. But this Fury would have had Caleb good and gone if Bobby hadn't jumped in front of it and took the shot right to the heart. Darn, just when we were starting to like Bobby a little bit. And you know what I realized? I think we started to like Bobby because Zolo wasn't around. Okay. We really don't like that Romulan heifer. But anyway, Bobby takes the shot, saving Caleb. Even though he had intimated earlier that, I would sacrifice all of y'all if it meant keeping the Athena safe. But dang. Another one. And it's really sad that once the cadet got a name, they took him out. So I don't know. I think that special cadet, that one that likes to swallow comm badges, well, we don't even know if she did or not. But the one that freaks out in these certain situations, okay, if they give her a name, she might not be long for this series either. In fact, I will be shocked if they don't have a little clip of that cadet going back home after all that she's experienced since she's been at Starfleet Academy. But anyway, R.I.P. to Bobby. Wish we knew a little bit more about your brother. So Terima, also in the course of getting that message to Caleb and trying to help them get off of the Miyazaki, she realizes, okay, darn it, the Furies have overtaken them now. They got Bobby. They had already got Kyle. They got Kyle on the leg. And of course, Jaden is trying to keep them from feasting on Kyle. And they got Sam. Now, I need to know, all right, how is she corporeal? And what exactly did they hit for her to fritz? Because wouldn't she have thought to be non-corporeal so that the whatever shots are coming her way would just pass through her? So they need to explain that about Sam. But other than that, everything seems lost. Okay? So Karima, in Caleb's head, is like, all right, you know what? I got to save my peoples. They can't go out like this. So she rips out the the little doohickey that she has attached to her to control her powers. And in the midst of all of this, in the midst of the message sending, we figure out that Tarima is the reason why her father is deaf. Because her powers blew out his whole auditory pathways. So now all those folks crying about how they changed the Betazoid's powers. They didn't. Tarima is special. She's a different kind of Betazoid, honey. So, after telling Caleb, you know what? I don't think you're going to like me after I have to do this, but at least you'll be alive. Which is crazy because, are you kidding? Save his life, he's going to be on her even more. So, she rips out that doohickey and unleashes her full power through Caleb into the Miyazaki. Which, of course, kills all of the Furies. So now, she's convulsing on the Athena. And they're like, ah, damn. She done did it now. And, of course, Occam is sitting there hollering for his sister to just come back. Because, yeah, she done went a little bit too far. And, of course, she ripped out she ripped out that mechanical machinery that she needed to regulate her powers. So, now, sis is in a coma. But, again, the other 4 cadets are saved now. Because poor Bobby is gone. And poor Kyle. So, the remaining 4 cadets are saved. The slip drive is on, and they're able to teleport them off of that doomed ship. Admiral Vance delivers the bad news. Whole lot of casualties at that port that they attacked. Probably some casualties on a Sargasso. And of course, Tomov and Bobby are gone. So Nala is just bereft at this point. She's like, man, this could have all been avoided. So they're able to fix up Sam. So, of course, she's going to be traumatized. And I'm glad that they have trauma counselors on hand to help the students once they get back to San Francisco. And, of course, Admiral Vance tries to convince Nala that it really wasn't her fault. But she kind of still takes on some of that guilt anyway. But our boy Noose, he leaves a message for Nala, letting her know how much he hates her and that how he's going to do his utmost to make her life miserable for the rest of his days. Paul Giamatti, A+. He toned down the scenery chewing, but he became much more menacing as a result. So, yep, that is episode 6. Live long and prosper.